If you tell someone to stop being creepy, they don't know what the fuck that means, and so they keep being creepy. If you tell someone to find their purpose in life, well, what does that mean?
They don't know what the fuck that means.
And so they stay directionless. I'm gonna tell you why you feel lost, and I'm gonna explain it with Dark Souls. In Dark Souls 1, you meet this happy guy at the beginning of the game named Solair. He tells you that if you ever need any help with any bosses, just give me a call. And he also tells you that he's looking for his own son. If you keep running into him throughout the game, you'll notice that he's still looking for his own son the entire time. But each time you see him, he is just a little less optimistic because he still hasn't found what he's looking for. Eventually, we find him in a dark, cavernous place. He's completely lost his vision, and his son is no son at all, but rather a gross, glowing parasite attached to his head. In Dark Souls, we saw Solaire go down a dark path for his goal. His goal is to find his own son, but what does that actually mean though? Is he looking for like an actual orb, like the sun in the sky? Is he looking for some kind of magic upgrade? Does he have like a baby mama and he's going to pick up his son, like his S-O-N, like his son? I think he seeks a son that represents like his personal purpose, like his meaning in life, his hope. He's drawn to the son's simplicity, elegance, and power. Qualities that Solaire seeks to find in a world consumed by darkness and hollows. This quest for his own son drives him and pushes him forward to keep pursuing a goal in a place that is so dark and depressing and drab. His reason to keep going is finding his own son. But what does it mean though? It's unclear to us as the player, and I think it's unclear to him as well what he's looking for. What does he mean by finding his own son? And he doesn't know exactly what he's looking for, but he will find it. He will figure it out. And that's kind of commendable. That's pretty an admirable trait, to figure it out no matter what. However, when you don't know what you're looking for, how will you ever find it? If you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you've arrived? And for some people, maybe depending on the circumstances or the situation, it's more about the feeling. You feel yeah, I've made it. This is where I'm supposed to be, And it wasn't totally solid in your mind what it was going to be, but it's up to your emotions to decide that for you in the moment. But I think that Solaire's case is slightly different. He was on his quest to find his own son, right? His purpose. But for something of this importance, I don't think that it can be left to decide in the moment what your purpose is, It has to be kind of already an idea in your mind of what you want for yourself. It can't be on a whim. You can't leave the fate of your purpose to the world around you. You can't let the world around you bend your shape and mold who you become. You're gonna be distorted and shaped by the world around you. And in Dark Souls, that's an awful world to be shaped by, I would much rather be solid and firm in myself and let the world bend around me, Let the world bend to my shape. Let me be an influence on the world. Not let the world be an influence on me, So yeah, I think sometimes you can leave things in the hands of the universe, let your heart be your guide. Let yourself feel things out to decide some things. But for something as important as the purpose of somebody, the purpose, why are you here? That can't be decided externally. It has to be you doing that. And I think that's why Solaire ended up how he did when we found him at the end of the game. He's driven mad in a dark chasm somewhere underground. Why would his son be underground? I don't know. He didn't even know what he was searching for, and he was misguided for that reason, because he was leaving too much of his journey for purpose to chance. You need to know what it is you need to be doing. Even if it's not like a perfect idea, you don't know exactly every specific step. You need to have an idea of what you want. You need to have some idea of where you want to be. Clarity is high leverage. Just like how people say they're gonna find their purpose, and I really expect to find their purpose just based on that instruction. People like to throw around a lot of like really vague advice, like stop being creepy, like super vague. Like, what does that mean? Telling someone to stop being creepy does not help, because no one thinks that they're being creepy. People don't wake up in the morning and think like, I want to be creepy today. No, like they act in ways that they think are appropriate. They think in ways that they think are not creepy. Nobody wants to be creepy. Creepy people act in ways that they don't think is creepy. And so when you tell them to stop being creepy, they don't know what that means. This is why so many people behave in ways that they don't want to. Not because they want to act creepy, but because they don't know what not being creepy looks like. Does that make sense? It hasn't been taught to them what a good version of that same thing looks like. What do we define as creepy? What do we define as found purpose? Like, what the hell does that mean? And I feel like so many people like fall into this exact same trap, including myself, because like finding my purpose, that sounds pretty cool actually. I kind of want to do that. But what does that mean though? What does that mean though? I want to find my own son. Like, wow, really? Can I come? But that doesn't really mean anything. It just sounds cool. Clarity makes everything easier and actually attainable. Because if you don't know what you want, how will you ever get it? If you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you've arrived? Solair was searching for his son, his purpose, but he didn't know anything more than that he wanted to find it. You have to define things for yourself and make specific steps as much as you can in order for you to attain that goal. If Solair thought to himself like, what do I actually want? Like, I want to become the strongest swordsman in all of the land. Then what he could do is train to be a good swordsman. His purpose could be found anywhere, because all he has to do is find worthy opponents to test his sword against, and learn from them. He could train by slaying enemies and upgrading his skill and his sword. If he was wanting to become like Gwyn, like a godlike figure with like so much sunlight abilities and like he could throw like lightning bolts, then he could go and find those same abilities. Maybe he could go find the lightning bolt, arrow, whatever. He could go find the same magic spells that Gwyn was using. If he had some more direction, some more specific steps, then maybe he would have not ended up wandering around looking for really nothing at all. Be like Solair, but don't be like Solair. Have the courage and the confidence to know that you're gonna figure it out no matter what. But also lay out some steps for you so that you're not just shooting in the dark. Don't leave super important things to be decided on a whim, because that is where you're gonna get into trouble. Plan ahead and have some kind of idea of what you want to do. It doesn't have to be a perfect idea, but just like a general idea in your mind and some general steps that you could take to follow that path. This is why I think so many kids go to school for like a university program and then they just drop it because like, well, I don't like this. And then they choose another one and then they're like, I don't like this either. Because at that point, they're just going to school just to go to school, just for their parents. And that's a whole different like issue on its own. But like, if you don't know what you're doing, then you're gonna have trouble doing it, right? For me, like, I thought about it for some time. I took a gap year after high school to just work and save up money if I did want to go to school. I wanted to go to school still, but I just wanted some more time to think about what I was gonna do. And I decided on like a few different options, few of my best options, I ruled out the ones that I definitely didn't want to do, like being a doctor. Like, I'm okay not going to school for 8 more years. I don't really have that much of an inclination to be a doctor, to go to school for 8, 10, 12 more years. No, thank you. So I narrowed it down to like a select few of the best options. And then from those options, I kind of just, maybe that was more of a whim, because some of them were similar, IT or software development. Well, flip a coin. I don't know. Because I don't really have such a foresight there. I don't know specifically what I want, but these are the best options. And I chose IT. And I think that I'm almost done the program now. I think that it was not such a terrible choice. So you see, like, I planned it not fully, but I still planned some of it, I chose my select few, and then I was like, which one would I kind of like to do? And then that was kind of my whim decision, because I didn't really know, but I still put myself in a good position. Kind of like Solair, but not completely. Define what you actually want. Turn vague goals into clear targets that you can actually accomplish. Write down a plan with like as specific steps as you possibly can. Even if it's not perfect, just start. That's all I have to say for today. Today is June 5th, 2025, and I'm gonna go take a shit. You guys have a good day. Oh, there's a bee at the window.